Senator Marco Rubio also joining us live from C-SPAN. Senator, good evening. Should medical marijuana be a narrowly written law, or is it okay to have conflicting laws in certain states?
I don't support the legalization of marijuana. I understand that individual states are going through the debate of its use for medicinal purposes. I know in Florida that debate's ongoing. And as long as it truly is for medicinal purposes, and even at the national level, goes through, for example, the FDA process that any other medicine would have to go through, that's something I'm willing to explore. What I do not support is the legalization of marijuana or any other additional intoxicant. This country is already paying a significant price for illegal use of drugs and even alcohol, which is legal. You talk about New Hampshire for a moment. One of the stories that has not been as reported nationally is the fact that many of the people who today that are dependent on heroin are because they became dependent on prescription opiates. And when it became difficult to acquire those prescription opiates through the pharmacy system, they unfortunately became hooked on opium and heroin in the streets as a result of it. And so I'm not in support of any additional intoxicants being legalized, something like marijuana. For medicinal purposes, if it underwent an FDA process and it was truly designed to be used as medicine, not as a way to get high, that's something I would be willing to explore.
Senator Rubio, if elected president, what would your policy be for the undocumented aliens in the United States already? Some would say we can't realistically get rid of 11.
Well, I'm glad you asked that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's right. Yes. So first of all, this is an issue that everyone agrees what we have today on immigration doesn't work for America. I don't think anyone would disagree for the most part that it needs to be fixed. But it cannot be fixed in one massive comprehensive piece of legislation. There is only one way forward on this, and it will require 3 steps, and they have to happen in the following sequence. First, we have to prove to the American people that illegal immigration is under control. It's not good enough to just say we're going to pass a law that will bring it under control. People demand to see it. They want to see the fence completed. They want to see more border agents. They want to see more drones and cameras and ground sensors. But they also recognize that over 40% of the people in this country illegally entered legally and overstayed a visa. And that's why we need an electronic verification system that employers must comply with or they will be heavily fined. And that's why we need an entry-exit biometric system at our seaports and airports so that we know when people are overstaying visas and we can identify them. That is the key that unlocks the ability to make progress on anything else when it comes to immigration. Once we have done that, the second step would be to modernize our legal immigration system. We are the most generous country in the world on immigration. We admit 1 million people a year legally to the United States, but we do so primarily on the basis of whether or not they have a relative living here. We cannot afford to do it that way anymore. In the 21st century, legal immigration must be based on merit, on what you can contribute economically, basically whether you are coming to be an American as opposed to simply live in America. Once we've done those 2 things, I believe there is a reasonable way to address the fact that you have 12 million people living in this country or more who are illegally here but have been here for a long time. And they will have to pass a background check, they will have to pay a fine, they will have to start paying taxes, they will have to learn English. And then in exchange for that, what they will get is a work permit that allows them to legally work in the United States and travel. And that's all they will have for an extended period of time. And then at some point in the future, we could have a further conversation about whether they're allowed to apply for a green card. But that is the only way forward on illegal immigration at this point in this country.
Senator, finally, how would you assess the mood or morale of America and Americans? It seems to me that we're a tired nation. The economy is not growing. The budget and the deficits are mounting. We have threats abroad. How and why is America where it's at right now, and what's the reason for it? How do we get fired up and feel good about the future for all generations of Americans?
That's actually
Go ahead.
That's actually the fundamental question of this election. This nation is at a pivotal moment in its history. The world around us is changing, and we need to decide what kind of country we will be in the 21st century. The reason why people feel so insecure in their economic lives is because our economy has rapidly changed. Today, we live in a country where the largest retailer, Amazon, doesn't own a single store, where the largest hospitality company, Airbnb, doesn't own a single hotel room, where the largest ground transportation company, Uber, doesn't even own a single car. We also live in a world that's rapidly changing. China's taking over the South China Sea. Russia's threatening the unity of Europe and NATO. Iran is on the verge of acquiring not just a nuclear weapon, but as Senator Cruz pointed out, the ability to deliver it to the United States. And radical jihadists have now spread across multiple continents, across the world, and some are even located here within the United States. The result of all these changes is it makes people feel insecure because they recognize that the old ways of doing things no longer work, but no one has outlined the way forward in the 21st century. What we need now are leaders that understand this new era, that have clear ideas, as I have offered, about how to modernize our economic policies to fully benefit from all the opportunities of the new economy, and also ideas about how to restore not just American prestige in the world, but our military power, our ability to stand with our allies, and our ability to anticipate crisis
Thank you, Senator.
before it develops and threatens the safety of our people.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate that. We need to move